好，但是还有一个问题，就是他们有一场戏是那个他的奶妈，然后从那个就是好像是那个给他的奶妈遣送走，然后这时候他后面的就是那个小孩看见奶妈走了，非常伤心，然后他进到一个屋子里边，进到屋子里边，窗后的景色是一片就是绿色的，就是但是它是很细细点点的这种绿色，就是树的颜色。然后后来的话，当就是那个就是好像是皇后吧，说那个呃你长大了不需要奶妈了，然后他当时特别伤心，然后后面的来了好多群演，就不是来了好多就是一些宫里边的人，然后把这个绿色给挡住了。我能不能把这种绿色代表了这个一种希望，就这种把这种希望挡住了
Well, I don't know if your interpretation is correct or not, but the scene is clearly uh, Bernardo want to keep this child, show this child that doesn't grow up. It doesn't become conscious. So the fact that they still nourish himself through the breast of the nurse, something that you usually do till one moment in your life, something that you do normally from the breast of your own mother. The nurse become a new mother for him. That show the need for this child to have his own mother. He's been removed from her arm. When the mother is coming back, he's already grown up, he's 10 years old, to visit him, and you can see that she is sick somehow. He accusing her, you left me, you leave me alone. She is very cruel with her, because that's what she feels. And the only way they can have the contact with their mother is through the breast of the nurse. It's a tragedy story for a child. Watching Bertolucci's film, you always should be aware that not necessarily one scene means what he's showing to you. Like in dreams, many things are told through symbols. The need for the mother is being shown through the fact that they still need to be nursed. And the other lady, the other women try to stop because they think normally they shouldn't do it. They don't see the tragedy of this little child that doesn't have the mother any longer. And that's the only chance that he has to keep the memory of when he was fed by his own mother. They don't think about. So I know there is difference. The European culture in this side, from Freud, Jung, and all the psychoanalysis history, compared to what you have in China. You should do an effort to try to understand the reading the European director is doing from a Chinese story that is being seen from his own mind. Bertolucci doesn't do a movie unless that is very personal for him. He recognizes the problem that the little child has with his mother, the father, and the brother, with his own problem, in his own family, in relation to a normal Italian family and the emperors of China, of course. Usually anybody, any artist, try to identify some part of his own private life through his own creation. You have to identify with what he's doing. Sometimes in a very strong, completely, exactly more or less the same, sometimes through very little symbols. But that's what he needs.
还有最后一个问题就是，我想了解一下就是调度的问题。就是我看了那个《末代皇帝》之后，它有好多就是从主观的到客观的，就是最后一场戏好像是他最后要 回到那个皇宫的时候，然后他看文化大革命的时候，然后他从镜头从这种客观的角度，然后到了那个主观的角度，然后到了这种大军队大文革这种队伍，然后客观的这种层面，我就想问一下这种调度问题和摄影机的配合，就是怎么能很好的实现？
Well, don't forget what I said during this our meeting. The decision of the size and the camera movement is about Bertolucci, not about me. He is the one that need to write with the camera the story. I am the one that need to write with light the story. So it's Bernardo choice to have decision to do the close-up or the wide angle, particularly after when he's in the editing period, let's say. So the decision is happened because dramaturgically I think is the best, or for emotional reason. I think that is the best way to convey the part of the story. But that's up to him, not up to me.
哎，老师你好。这儿。啊。
对。
啊，老师你好。那个我有2个问题。那个一个是昨天看完您的那个赤色，我看到他影片的颜色色彩，跟这个末代皇帝是完全不同的2种影像色彩的基调风格。赤色相对于它的色彩偏向于写实一些，那个末代皇帝呢，它的色彩更为强烈，更风格化一些，所以说它可能也是您的个人的风格的要求，或者是导演的要求，也可能是您对中国文化的一种理解，传统皇宫文化的宫廷文化的一种理解。俄罗斯的那个赤色，我看全片的颜色都稍比较淡，就像俄罗斯的一幅画，就像是秋天一样，是不是有意设置成这样一种颜色色调？而且是不是跟它的环境有关系？我想了解，在我想问的问题是在这2部影片当中，造成这2部影片不同的影像风格，是根据影片的2个文化环境的背景不同，或者是环境气候的不同，还是您对文化个人的理解问题，还是出于电影叙事的一种影像和色彩的一种手段，而制定出2种截然不同的这种2种风格？这是第一个问题。OK。
No, definitely the two movies are completely different from each other. Personally, it's also depending on my present moment in my life in reading one story. Reds was done in 1980, and I was just finished Apocalypse Now. I had stopped studying the meaning of light through colors. I had the kind of developing in my mind, but was mainly based on my previous part. You can't cut completely your life to say, okay, from now on, I do everything in relation to light. From this moment on, I do in relation to color. Because even today, I'm influenced by the relationship between light and shadows. That was my original step. Because you never stop to keep the principle of your life with you, but you discover step by step new elements. Probably I was not ready to perform that specific story through such a powerful palette that is the color spectrum. probably the story itself at that moment didn't give me any emotional feeling connected with color. Probably the entire moment of my life was into what I done till that moment. So I was, my emotion to the story was all still based in relationship between light, shadows, the meeting point, the equilibrium between the two of them. Probably the story, the relationship with Francis, the connection with Las Vegas, give me the something that I want to put out, connected with emotion, connected with the character, and also the set itself give me the chance to pull out any kind of strong emotion that I have with color. From Reds to The Last Emperor is 7-year difference. I was much more mature in The Last Emperor. I was already been, my explosion in color was already through one from the art. I was much more in balance between the use of light, shadows, and color compared to a story. So that's the result of The Last Emperor. Emotionally, The Last Emperor was for me a kind of closing chapter about the research in color. And I took another stop and tried to prepare my study, prepare myself and find a new era for my expression. And I went through, as I mentioned, through the Greek philosopher. 3 years later, Dick Tracy came, same director of Reds, Warren Beatty, different project. 13 years later, I need to find balance between opposite elements. Dick Tracy was a chance using the comic strip to find balance between opposite color. So that was my feeling at that moment. 6 years later, Dick Tracy, I did Bulworth with Warren Beatty, same director. But it was a story of just a senator, a man, feeling that he's at the end of his own life and only living from that moment on in totally free mind. He discovered the passion of life. And at that moment, I was using a kind of balance between all the steps they went through, and I was using find the balance between his life with the darkness and light, to find once again the different moment, the new life of him through different color. So practically, wherever you are, wherever you become at that moment, dictate the kind of expression, the kind of style that you are going to approach to one project. No doubt that the project is give you the key point, but you react in different way in different moment of your life.
因为当我看到那个科波拉的，就是您跟科波拉合作的那个《现代启示录》的时候，我看到那个马龙白兰度脸上的光，基本上就是那个卡拉乔叫什么乔？卡拉瓦乔，因为他的这个光影方式是九教布光法嘛，属于九教布光方法，突出这种叙事的主体，这样就会有一个问题，这是当然是美术上的一种布光的方式，在绘画作画的是一种布光方式，当然在电影的叙事当中会出现一个问题，就是说像这种布光方式会导致色彩会被大量的光影遮蔽掉。这时候就会有一个问题，对，就是说色彩与光影的关系，您在一部影片当中是怎么制定的？就是这样一个风格也好，或这样一个处理手法也好，况且你参照的是什么？您的参照是什么？这两种的关系参照在制作当中，你要呈现的时候，就是色彩与光影。
Always depend on the kind of scene and the kind of movie, the kind of moment you are. It depends if you are searching for balance or not. Usually when you are creating such a strong light, next to the very so deep darkness, you don't searching for balance, you're searching for a conflict. You're searching for to reveal in a very strong way one specific area. So the balance of color is not your main point, let's say.
好，我的第二个问题啊，老师您好，在那个我的第二个问题是，您有没有兴趣就是再来中国拍摄作品？您对中国的这种就是环境也好，拍摄的兴趣，以及对什么样的文化的题材或环境拍摄环境感兴趣？
And that depends on the story, of course.
有赖于故事啊，就有赖于电影这个本子。
In the sense, depends if I feel that I can help you in bring something value into that project or not. Not necessarily every project that is brought to me, I feel there is in my same path. So it's something that I can add that project, you know, through my experience and my creativity, they make some benefit to the project. It could be also that that story is very important for you, for your own story, and maybe I don't have any special feeling on that story. So I don't know how I can help, you know. How to come back to China, definitely. We, in fact, spoke with Bernardo to come back to do, a few years ago, to do another major project in China. There was relating to a major part of your history before the revolution, during the revolution, and after the revolution. Unfortunately, Bernardo fell sick. He has a problem on his back. He was operated twice on his bones over here, and now he's in a wheelchair, and he doesn't have the strength to do it. But that was our great desire to come back to do another great story about the history of China. Yes.
就
It's okay, bro.
那个司老，我想问的一个问题，就是在那个现在启示录里面，您一直说那个马龙白兰度那个镜头，就是脸上有那个阴影，就是我是觉得那个镜头，就是我特别想知道，因为拍得很漂亮啊，就是怎么那个分寸感是怎么做到的，跟人物的情绪啊是做的，跟光这个动的这个情绪是怎么做到的？谢谢。
If you see my filmography, probably it's the only sequence they are done in that way, because the subject matter requires something like that. And at that time, I had that kind of intuition to present to Francis Coppola the chance to reveal the truth coming out from the darkness in the face of Marlon Brando. They represent symbolically what the Vietnam War was at that moment. If I remember now, Warren Beatty close-up at the beginning of Bulworth remind me somehow the close-up of Marlon Brando at the end of the picture of Apocalypse Now. There is a very strong light coming from the right side on him, and there is lit only for one half face, and this senator is thinking to commit suicide, thinking that his life is completely out. So he's conscious about something, and he want to annihilate himself from one other side. It is, you know, the story is totally different, the story thing, but sometimes the use of light and shadows can still create in this kind of emotional moment in one character. And without any doubt, this is something that belongs to the cinematographer, really, to really interpret that specific moment and presenting on the set that moment. That's why I insist that we're supposed to be co-author of the image of one film, because that specific choice is really our own creativity.
I was thinking to have two quick questions. Is that okay? Or the first one is about, I'm curious about, except for the lightings, what color filters or like other effect filters like you use in your films to help you to to do the effect you want, like filters about. So can you give us some like examples, for example, like which scene, what filter you use? Thank you.
You know, light, filter, printing, choosing the negative or sensor is all the kind of tool that you have in front of you to use according to what you need. So sometimes I don't need at all any filter, sometimes I need. For example, in Sheltering Sky, I want to really emphasize the heat coming from the ground, from the sand, they is so opposite to the color of the sky, blue sky. And I was using, even the last temporal sometimes I used the same things. Double degraded filter. But I was not trying to desaturate the sky. I need more saturation in the sky. So I use a blue on top of the blue. And on the earth, orange on top of the color of the earth, to have more contrast between the two colors. That's mainly, for example, what I use it through all Sheltering Sky films. But I did use some in the last temporal. But I never used, for example, in Bulworth or in other film. In Dick Tracy, with I need the lost color, I use the gelatine on the right. I don't need